Hey, well, here we are. It's time for breakfast. It's time for lunch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the show. This week with Drew. And I'm pointing at the camera for you. Bow now. Welcome to another episode of This Week with Drew. This show is for for February 14th, 2019. Thank you so much for listening or watching on YouTube or Facebook or however you consume this. We dropped in half from the first episode to the second episode, so that's great. What we're doing is we're chipping away at those fake podcast listeners. You know what I mean? Those people who are trying to catch a wave early, man. You know, I don't need those people. 60 people on episode 1, 30 people episode 2. We're going 15 for episode 3, and we're whittling away to that single true fan. And it will just be me checking to make sure that that it's uploaded to YouTube. That will be my only view, but I don't care because I am a comedian on the internet. And it is my job to put content out to be consumed by the content machine, man. And that is my cross to bear and is my onus. So thank you for listening or watching the podcast today. We got a lot to talk about today, hopefully. This week was good. I had a pretty good week. I got to watch the Grammys on Sunday, which was, I don't really like watching award shows, but I was home and I figured let's watch the Grammys. And it was, I couldn't imagine having to do sound for the Grammys. That would suck. There's so many wireless microphones. Wireless microphones suck because the batteries can fall out or the frequency could drop or like, I don't know. It's just wireless microphones suck, and it's seemingly an endless amount of wireless microphones to do sound for. So that would suck. Drake's speech got cut off, which is whatever. I don't know. At first I was like, "Yo, you gonna do Drake like that?" But then I was like, "Man, like you're like everybody has to give a speech. Like this is a long ass show." And you pretty much took a shit on the Grammys. You're like, "Yo, you don't need this Grammy." If you're a hero in your hometown, which is like, yeah, Drake, like obviously you're a hero in your hometown, but that's like because you're Drake and you made a career out of being a hometown hero, bro. You're the sixth god. But they cut his speech off, which is all good. At first I was kind of bummed. I wanted to hear what he was going to say. I'd like to know. I wish he could finish his speech on Instagram or something like that because I'd like to know what Drake was going to say. But I love having this Grammy. That's probably what he was going to say. I love having all these Grammys. And I think it's funny that he won for Best Rap Song, but also nominated for Best Rap Song was Eminem. Like, how are they still nominating Eminem? 20 years ago, in 1999, Eminem said, "You think I give a fuck about a Grammy?" And the Grammys have still been nominating him for 20 years now. In 1999, you think I give a fuck about a Grammy? And Eminem, they're like, "You want another one? Would you like?" It's like, he's like, "Bro, I don't come to this. And you know nothing about rap. So you just keep nominating Eminem, who's clearly like is a good rapper, but he's not pushing oh, this one's for calm. He's not pushing forward the cultural zeitgeist of the rap culture. He's not pushing the zeitgeist of the rap culture forward. That's 3 for 3. He's not. He did in 20 years ago, but there's way. I guess he did get nominated with Joyner, but why are you still nominating Eminem for Grammys? Half of you critics can't even stomach me, let alone stand me. You think I give a fuck about a Grammy? Like, he literally told you to go fuck yourself 20 years later. That's why I don't like these award shows, is because like Eminem he deserves a Grammy, but they just keep nominating him when he knows he doesn't give a fuck. And there's lots of other hip hop artists out there. And then same with like Led Zeppelin doesn't have a Grammy, like Jimi Hendrix doesn't have a Grammy, you know. It's just a big giant circle jerk of like what's going on. And same with the Oscars too. Like they had to invent a new category called Best Popular Movie because they weren't gonna nominate Black Panther for anything, and they knew they would be crucified if they didn't nominate Black Panther. So they literally had to invent a category because they're so stupid. The Oscars are fucking brutal, man. Like Best Sound Editing in a Documentary or Musical. Like what does that even entail? The normal people don't care about that. They should totally revamp the Oscars and just give us like give us shit like best like dude nipple scene, like stuff that people actually care about, like best like weed inhale scene, like best like death. That would be sick. Now the award for best death, and it's just like Sean Bean nominated 5 times. Yeah, they should do categories based on stuff that we talk about after the movies. Like, yeah, that was sick. That's like best explosion in a car chase and or boat race or something like that. Like, do good categories that people. That's why the Grammys at least are stuff like where it's like best song, like best country song. Like you can totally. The Grammys don't talk about like best microphone placement on a kick drum in an EDM song under 3 minutes. Like that's what the Oscars feel like. The Grammys are way better to watch because at least there's like songs you can watch. Like, oh yeah, I know that like song. You can like see the artist perform the song. So if it's Grammys versus Oscars, man, I'm watching the Grammys every single time, man. The Oscars suck. Cause it's just a big giant. Nobody wants to be there. I don't think the celebrities want to be there. They're not getting paid. Because if you had to pay them, they would want millions of dollars. And then we don't really want to watch this because I don't care about all this stupid little crap. Everyone's just waiting to see, Anyways, I just thought it was funny that they nominated Eminem for a friggin' Grammy when he could he said 20 years ago, you think I give a fuck about a Grammy? Okay, so I live in Toronto. Big news story in Toronto. Some stupid dumb chick threw a friggin' chair off a balcony right downtown by the CN Tower. And then it was stupid enough to film it. Which is like, okay, listen. I understand the sentiment. We all understand wanting to just chuck a chair. We all feel like that sometimes. We're like, just throw this chair off. But don't be a dummy. Like, man, and it's crazy. She just got pinched, though. Today, I just found out before I started recording this that her name is like Marcella something. She's like Brazilian, but she lives in Toronto, or she's of Brazilian descent, and she lives in Toronto. And, she just turned herself in this morning, 19 years old. 19 years old. And so you're still a stupid-ass teenager, but man, like it's just such a disregard for human life. Like, I was doing dumb shit like that in the hood, throwing stuff off bridges, the 50th Street walking bridge. Like, I tied up a friggin' pylon to, like, a rope, and then we would just chuck the pylon off and leave the rope tied to one of the thing. We don't know what we were trying to accomplish. Like, you throw the pylon, and then you just watch it, and you're like, whoa. And, like, it looks cool because you got a pylon tied to a rope, and then the rope tied to the bridge, and then you get a little pendulum effect under the bridge. And we didn't know why we were doing it. There was you're just kind of, it's like a puppy. You're just, like, seeing how, like, what's going to happen if I just chuck this thing off of here. Like, you don't even really think, like, what the next step is. You're like, well, I'm just going to chuck this thing and then just, I don't know. You don't even think about what's going to happen. And then apparently they chucked more stuff. So good for her for getting pinched, first of all. And also, I love that this person never would have been caught if it wasn't for social media. But then I also think if we go one step further, they never even would have done it if it wasn't for social media. Because so many people do it for the gram, and they do it for the Snap, and they do it for the Vine or whatever. And it influences the way people behave, because you think that there's this like everyone's watching you at all times because of your social media profile. Now you have to be this person and put this shit out there, this persona. But you look at her, and then she deleted her Instagram too. But someone dug up her old Instagram, and it was all just these like real thirst, like mad thirsty, like ass shots with like a thong and like club pics and like, oh, look at me, I'm on a boat now with like all my boobies hanging out, and it just like clearly this person was definitely more obsessed with like a materialistic lifestyle rather than just like living a normal life, where you're like a good person. But you got to chuck friggin' shit off the. Anyway, she got pinched, which is dope. And now hopefully I want to see how hard they throw the book at her, man, because you can't let her go because she's a blonde 19-year-old, man. You got it. If there was like some drunk, like Native American or Aboriginal, if there was some drunk Aboriginal, 44-year-old drunk Aboriginal guy throwing chairs off of a balcony, they would put that guy in jail for like 15 years, like no problem. So I want to see them throw the book at her and because she could have killed a baby. You could have killed a granny. You could have killed anybody, man. Let alone the property damage and the destruction and then the narcissism. It's like that chick who convinced her boyfriend to kill himself over text messages. She just got pinched and she went to jail for I don't know how long. Hopefully a long time though. Man, you can't let these people away with it. This justice system can't be sliding based on your gender and your race and your age, man. Just because you're a 19-year-old little blonde chick doesn't mean you could just do whatever you want. Big episode of The Bachelor this week. Oh my God. You could tell that Onyeka and what's her name? Big episode of The Bachelor this week, man. Onyeka and Lisa, or whatever her name, get into that big fight. You knew that they were just totally gonna they just self-sabotaged, man. Onyeka just self-sabotaged herself, you know what I mean? It's like the Emperor's Baby, man. At the end, you could tell the Latino chick was like super sad. She's like, I just wanted to love Colton. I just don't want to leave right now. It just hurts thinking that like he knows that like he's thinking that I'm like didn't try my hardest. And then Onyeka was like, ah, bitch, at least I went out with you. It's like the Emperor's Baby, bro. Like the Emperor, there's that old like parable of like the baby and there's two women fighting over a baby and then they take it to the Emperor and the Emperor's like, fine, I'll cut the baby in half and you each get half the baby. And then the one woman was like, yeah, sure, I'm super down with that. And then the other woman was like, no, whatever, let her have the baby. I don't want you to cut the baby in half because then it'll kill it or whatever. And then the Emperor was like, bam, that's your baby, because the real mom wouldn't have wanted the real baby cut in half. And that's Onyeka and Lisa, because Onyeka was the fake mom who didn't actually like Colton and Lisa was the real mom who did like Colton. So if that made sense to you, big episode of The Bachelor. If I was Colton, man, I would be freaking out right now. I'd be like, man, which one of these snakes in the motherfucking grass? I think it's Hannah G, honestly, because she's got like 500,000 followers on Instagram, and she looks way different on Instagram than she does on the show. And I think some people just do this show, I think, maybe, spoiler alert, to raise their social media profiles, especially when your job is content creator. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Content creator. Like, I guess that's what I'm doing right now. I talked about it off the top of the show, but it seems that if I was a betting man, which I sometimes gamble, I would say that Hannah G's a snake in the grass. She ain't looking for love. She's looking for those followers. Because how could you be 23, man? Colton needs a wife, and he deserves a loyal partner and a loyal companion. And I don't think any of these 23-year-old scallywag Instagram scanics are going to be what he's looking for. All right? So big episode of The Bachelor this week. Huge episode of The Bachelor this week. I'm getting my puppy next week. I'm getting a little dog named Terry. It's a miniature schnauzer. I'm very excited to get Terry. He is 5-6 weeks old right now, so I'm getting a little puppy. And it's a miniature schnauzer, so it looks like a real dog. And so I don't know. Some people, I don't like pugs. Could you imagine if a human looked like a pug? Why do we do that to the dogs? We don't do that to people. Could you imagine if a human looked like a pug, just and they couldn't breathe and they would like sometimes die and their eyes were all bulged out of their heads, and we actually bred humans to look like that, man? That'd be fucked up, yo. I don't even really have a joke or nothing to say, but can you imagine if humans look like pugs? Why do we do that to dogs, man? I feel like we're fucking dogs up, but like long ass wiener dogs. Like at what point is a wiener dog too long that it just breaks in half? Because the Westminster Dog Show was just on, and pow! I feel like some of those dogs you could just pow, man. Like that's a long ass dog. How long? How long does a wiener dog long until a wiener dog don't go long? Okay, well, I'm glad that this podcast is only 15 minutes long, and I bet you so are you. So let's chip it away, bro, to the real viewers, man. We getting down to those real, and then that's when we build up from those day one motherfuckers who were there and want to listen to this. So thank you. I appreciate you. If you're listening to this and you're watching this, then it's all about you. I appreciate you. I respect you. Another one. DJ Khaled.